What's up, yo? In this video I'm going to do a basic guide to everyone's favorite troll cannon, KV-2. To start with, I'll be going over the armor of the tank. Now, if you've played any of the other KV tanks, you probably have, since this is one of the later ones you can unlock, it's got your standard KV armor. It's got 75 on the front, 75 on the sides, and 70 on the rear, and a straight 75 across the board for the turret. Your front upper plate is around 85 millimeters thick, and the lower plate is around 90-ish, depending on your angle. And the middle front plate is about 90 to 80, depending on your angle. The front of the turret is pretty thick. You've got the gun mantlet, which is around 90, a little stretch that's only 75-ish, and the angling on the edges of the front make it pretty much impenetrable. The sides are a flat 75 for the turret and the hull. And the rear of the tank is 70 with a small 60 slab on the top of the rear. The deck of the tank is a straight 30 millimeters thick. If you've played the other KV series and are pretty good with them, then you'll know how to use the armor of this tank. If you get a decent angle going, most things will have trouble penetrating you. The only tanks that'll really be able to get through your armor with ease are Tiger, the Panther, and some of the later German tank destroyers that'll be at the upper end of your matchmaking spread. The main thing people use this tank for is, of course, the massive 152 millimeter howitzer. The tank comes with 2 ammos by default, an anti-concrete shell, and high explosive. You can later unlock a armor-piercing shell for the tank. The anti-concrete shell's got a penetration of 121 at 100, 117 at 500, and 109 at 1000. The high explosive shell has a straight 75 across the board. The armor-piercing shell has better performance than the anti-concrete shell, with 129 at 100 meters, 124 at 500, and 111 at 1000. Now, you might be thinking that the concrete shell is completely useless once you get the armor-piercing shell. However, the armor-piercing shell has a 100 meter per second lower muzzle velocity than the concrete shell, making it harder to aim and more inaccurate at range. I usually take a healthy dose of both anti-concrete shell and high explosive shells, with maybe 1 or 2 armor-piercing shells for when someone comes up on me. The mobility of the tank is in line with most of the other KV series tanks you may have driven. It's got a top speed of 34 kilometers per hour and a reverse speed of about 5 or 6 kilometers per hour. The whole traverse isn't great. It turns somewhat slowly, although not as bad as some of the Shermans or Panther series tanks. And the turret rotation is the worst thing about this tank. It has a 6 degree per second turret rotation speed. It takes forever to turn this turret. And another thing to note about this tank, the reloading rate is 38.2 seconds with my crew. I have an expert crew with a decent amount of points put into them, and it's just under 40 seconds. So keep that in mind as well. So, how do you want to try and play this tank? You can play it in 2 broad rules. I've seen people be aggressive with this tank, push up on people, and point blank hip shoot them with their massive cannon, and that can certainly work. However, the slow turret rotation and the somewhat lackluster hull traverse can make this tank very vulnerable at close range. If someone can flank around you, they can get a clean shot on the side of your turret, which has a bunch of ammo in it, but more importantly, 2/3 of your crew are in this turret, so any round that penetrates will usually kill most of these crew members, or at the very least wound them. It'll almost always as well take out one of the turret rings or even the cannon breech itself. The safer way to play the tank is to try and keep a good distance between you and the enemies. Keep yourself behind cover, pop out, take your shot, scoot back into cover, reload, and do it again. Both ways to play this tank have their pros and cons. If you're aggressive with it, people can't do much to stop you. Your good armor can keep you protected until you get right up on them, and then you use your troll cannon and troll the shit out of them. But if they do get around you, pretty much dead. The other method, staying in cover and popping out, it's hard to hit tanks at range with the gun. It's got a very slow muzzle velocity, and some people will wait for you to come out and take you out. Like any tank with a very derpy gun where you can get massive troll kills on people, you will be a prime target for people to shoot at. I've been in matches where in the beginning, while trying to get into position, most of the tanks I could see were shooting at me instead of other tanks that were more in the open, because they realized the potential for this tank to kill them. So, while this can be a fun tank to play, it can also be extremely frustrating because people will make it a point to kill you as fast as possible because they do not want to be on the receiving end of this massive gun. That about wraps it up for my KV-2 guide. This tank, like many other troll machines, can either troll who you're shooting at, or it will troll you, and you will have a sad, sad day indeed. If you like the video, feel I left something out, feel free to leave a comment. If you want to keep updated when new videos come out, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I'll hopefully be getting them out on a more regular basis here soon, and I'll see y'all next time.